Hi there, it's great to see you. Thanks for stopping by today. I'm John Merriman, and this is your Tuesday morning guitar song. Back in 1981, there was a hit song on the radio that was called Betty Davis Eyes. Well, in my book, Betty Davis has nothing on Judy Collins when it comes to eyes. Those are some stunning eyes. They are so large and they're blue. Well, Judy Collins actually had a hit song that did mention her eyes. Here's the story. In 1967, she was doing an album, and her producer hired a young studio guitarist to play on that album. They met, they fell in love, and they started a romantic relationship. The guitarist's name was Stephen Stills. And 2 years later, Judy fell in love with somebody else. And to put it politely, she showed Stephen the door. She dumped the guy, and he was heartbroken, crestfallen. And to express his pain and his loneliness, he wrote a song called Sweet Judy Blue Eyes, and it became a hit because he was playing with Crosby, Stills, and Nash at the time. And there you are. The eyes have it. Two big hit songs about eyes for Betty and Judy. Well, I think we might be getting ahead of ourselves just a little bit here. Judy Collins. She was born in 1939 in Seattle, Washington, and her life was a series of trials and triumphs, of healings and overcomings. Here we are in August of 2017, and she's 78 years old. She's never been stronger. She still records and she still tours, and she lectures to groups in support for their efforts to heal from life's traumas. Judy Collins' father was in the entertainment business. He was a very popular disc jockey, and he was blind. They were extremely close, and she attributes him as being the source of her strength, her endurance, and her optimism that she's carried with her through her whole life. At 5 years old, Judy Collins started classical piano lessons, and she was quickly recognized as a child prodigy. At 10 years old, the family moved from Seattle to Denver, Colorado. 11 years old, she contracted polio, and she had to spend 2 months in total isolation in a Denver hospital to start recovering, but she was determined to overcome. And then by 13 years old, she had a big classical debut performing live a Mozart piano concerto. Judy was being groomed to become a high-level concert classical pianist. And then in her mid-teens, she gave it all up. Judy fell in love with something else. She fell in love with folk music, and she dumped the piano and picked up a guitar. This was totally shocking to her teacher, who was a very famous classical orchestra conductor, but her parents were always very supportive. Well, in 1957, she graduated from high school. The next year, she got married right out of high school, and the next year, she had a son by the name of Clark Taylor. She was a young mom. She was a young bride. The family didn't have any money. They had to make ends meet. So she drove up to Boulder, Colorado, and she performed in the folk clubs up there to try to make a little money. In 1960, her husband got a job as a teacher in Connecticut, so her husband, and her son moved to Connecticut. They still didn't have much money, so she drove into New York City and performed at folk clubs in Greenwich Village. Well, as fate would have it, she just happened to land at ground zero of the exploding folk movement in this country, and her eyes and that voice started getting a lot of attention. Elektra Records just happened to be looking for a female folk singer to compete with Joan Baez on their label, because Joan Baez was the biggest thing going back then. They took one look at Judy and they said, "We found our girl." Well, they signed Judy Collins and she started recording, and that started her career. Not so much as somebody who creates millions of hits, but as an album artist. And she became one of the great ladies of folk music in this country. Now, in her early career, she did not write her own music. She performed other people's songs. She was an interpreter of music. And this made her very popular because everybody wanted to get at her, because to show them some songs they wanted her to record. Well, one night she got a knock on her door, and there stood her friend with a nervous young man. He said he was a songwriter and a poet, and he just wanted to play some of his songs to Judy to see if they were any good. He was very shy. So she invited them in, and he played his songs for her. His name was Leonard Cohen. She was stunned, and she said, "I'm going to record those songs tomorrow." Judy Collins discovered Leonard Cohen. She recorded his music, and she helped him become a performer by letting him perform with her on stage. And she didn't stop there. Her phone rang one morning at 2 a.m. A friend was on the other side and said, "You've got to hear this." And then he gave the phone to a young lady, and she sang a song over the phone to Judy. It was Joni Mitchell, and she sang Both Sides Now. And Judy said, "Oh my God, I've got to record that one too." She was known for discovering many artists. She didn't stop there. She helped Randy Newman, Richard Farina, and many others. Well, as I said in the beginning, her life was a series of trials and triumphs. She had polio. Then in '62, she was diagnosed with tuberculosis and had to spend 6 months in a sanatorium. In the 1970s, she won her battle against bulimia and alcoholism. And then in '93, she was faced with her biggest trial ever, the suicide of her only child, Clark. Well, now she talks about it openly. She counsels support groups, and she is a spokesman for suicide prevention. As I said, she still tours, she still records, and here's something cute. She is now, as of August of 2017, on tour with her old good friend, Stephen Stills. And they are going to release an album together next month. And today, she is the topic of your Tuesday morning fun fact. Here's your Tuesday morning fun fact. Back in the old hippie days, it was not uncommon for a young hip couple to name their kids after their favorite song done by their favorite artist. One such couple has always stuck in my mind. They were from Arkansas, and their name was Beverly and Bob, or something like that, and they had a daughter. And they named their daughter after their favorite Judy Collins song, which was Chelsea Morning. And no, wait, I got it. Their name was Hillary and Bill, and their last name was Clinton. So that would make their daughter Chelsea Clinton. And that's your Tuesday morning fun fact. Let's go back to 1969, my favorite Judy Collins song. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. Thank you so much for coming along with me today on our little journey to explore the life of Judy Collins. It's always so good to see you, and I love hanging out together. If you have a second, don't forget to like the show on Facebook or like the page. And if the Spirit moves you, please share the show on your social media or send it along to a Judy Collins fan that you know. I really appreciate all you do. Come back and see me next week. And remember, you're never ready for your day without a song in your heart. Bye now.